everyone, it's Nina and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another Doing Bookish Things / Ultimate Book video. I have a couple things I want to get done for this video. The main reason, honestly, why I'm filming this is I really want to do a book unhaul of some books I have read and just know I don't want to keep in my collection, as well as some I just feel like I'm not interested in reading anymore, and I'd love to put them in local little free libraries or maybe even list a couple on Pango. So we're going to be doing that in this video. I'd also love to pick out some books for my next TBR, mostly books that I want to feature in future reading vlogs. I also would very much like to do some crafting and sewing with you guys. I recently been seeing a lot of YouTube shorts for a Delphonics pouch, which I believe is somewhat Japanese brand. It's this pouch that's really popular in the stationery community, and I feel like I can probably make this myself. I actually found a pretty easy to follow tutorial for how to kind of sew a dupe version of this. So I'm hoping to make that in this video as well. I very much use my fabric stash pilled right now, and I think I have the perfect materials to use to make this pouch. And I would also really like to show you guys my experience going to Indie Bookstore Day back in April. I know that at this point it's probably 2 or 3 months since Indie Bookstore Day happened, but I haven't been able to use the footage I got from there in any other vlog, so I thought I would show it to you guys now. I think before then, I actually wanted to give you guys a couple really quick reading journal updates. Mostly showing off some of the monthly spreads I've recently done because I think they're really cute. I just started working on all the spreads of the books I read in May. So here is what those ones look like. Then we have my monthly spread for June. I think this one turned out so cute. I really like the look of the month being written vertically. And then the only book spread I've worked on so far is the one for the next set of volumes of Dr. Stone I've been reading. I did go ahead though and start working on my spread for July, which I think this turned out so good. I really like all these sticker choices I did for it. And my wife was saying that the gingham being in the center like this makes it kind of look like a picnic blanket, which was definitely not my intention, but I feel like it looks so cute and so fitting for the month. I also thought really quick, I'd do a couple small life updates because I don't usually talk about that in a lot of my other videos, but life lately actually has been going really well. I actually just recently am setting up for a job promotion, which is great because I already really love my job, and this is just basically adding on more responsibilities and working with people that I already really like, as well as getting more money and the possibility of having a day of work from home again. So I'm very excited for that. I don't start until probably end of July, early August, but I'm feeling really happy and proud of myself for it. Another kind of not necessarily less fun side, but I do feel with the last couple months, I have been a little bit more of a reading slump. I just haven't been reading books as quickly or necessarily picking up audiobooks as much as I have in the past, which is usually a way that I can kind of boost my overall reading when I don't have enough time to read physically. I can still usually listen to an audiobook on my way to or from work, but I just haven't had a lot of audiobooks I've been super interested in. So I feel that has kind of contributed to my reading number being a bit lower this year. That being said, I feel I have been reading a lot of books I really enjoy. And I think I've been getting out of that slump with the recent books I've been picking up. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident in my reading for the rest of the year. Okay, the last thing I wanted to do before we transition into the Indie Bookstore Day footage and my book haul from that is I actually got a new Sunny Angel. I honestly have not bought a Sunny Angel in so long. I honestly think the last one I got was 10 years ago. And since I really like them and think they're so cute, I thought I would open this one on camera with you guys. A random fun fact about me is that my mom growing up always collected little Kewpie dolls, and the fact that the Sunny Angels are very similar to Kewpies kind of has always given them a special place in my heart. I do own a couple Sunny Angels that we actually gave to my grandma because she also really liked Kewpies, and some of the other Sunny Angels that I have, she actually made little diapers for them because she didn't like that they were kind of you know, balls to the wall, just all hanging out there. I don't know why I can't cut this, but let me try my best to unwrap this guy. So like I said before, this is one of the vegetable series. I don't know which one I necessarily want. I think the bok choy is really cute. Either him or maybe the garlic or the onion. Oh, I feel a stem. I think it's going to be one of the stemmed ones. So maybe the carrot or the bok choy or, I don't know, the corn or the radish. Let's see what we got. I'll let you guys look before I do. Okay. Oh, it's the corn. Oh my god, he's so funny looking. Trying to have the camera actually focus on him and not me. He's so cute. I can't wait to add him to the other Sunny Angels that live up on this shelf over here. I don't know if you can see them very well, but now I just have a new little friend to add to my bookshelf. Okay, with that very long intro out of the way, let's transition to me showing you the footage I got from Indie Bookstore Day, as well as the haul I did afterwards. We ended up going to 2 different bookstores. We also went with my friend Melissa from high school, who I have not seen in a very long time, but we have a lot of like really similar interests, and it's been really great to reconnect with her and like talk with her on Instagram. And for Indie Bookstore Day, we like finally made the effort to see each other in person. My wife also came with us and got to meet her for the first time, and I think the whole day was really, really fun. We also went to a record store and we picked up some CDs while we were there as well, which I will show you. But yeah, with that long intro out of the way, let's get right on into the video. So yesterday we went out for Indie Bookstore Day, and we ended up hitting up 2 different bookstores that are in the suburbs. We specifically went to these 2 because we actually ended up meeting up with one of my friends from high school who I haven't seen in at least like 5 years, and it was so much fun. Anyway, we ended up going to stores that she had picked out. The first one I didn't end up getting anything from, but the other bookstore we went to was Cupid's Bookshop in Manayunk. I've been meaning to go to this store basically since it opened a year ago, but because it is the first only romance bookstore in Philly. And as you know, with my very niche interests, I usually have to go to a romance bookstore to find a lot of queer romances that I'm interested in. And that being said, I did pick up 2 books when we were there. The first one was A Gentleman Never Keeps Score by Cat Sebastian. I have previously read this book and give it 4.5 stars. Since I originally just listened to it as an audiobook, it was on my list to eventually just buy. And I figured seeing it in store, I knew it was the right time to pick it up. The other book I picked up is The Devil She Knows by Alexandria Bellefleur. I'd seen this book actually initially by seeing the cover on Pinterest. I love the design of the cover. I love that it says "going down" as the tagline. Like, that's so funny. Especially with the cover, it's like a triple entendre. With the one character being a demon, so going down means they're going to hell. Them being in an elevator, and also lesbians, so going down. And anyway, this is a lesbian contemporary, kind of like magical realism romance that is, I think, like kind of almost a modern Faust retelling of a woman who makes a deal with a female demon, I think initially to try and like get back her ex, but of course the demon keeps like twisting the wishes that she's given to then make the other woman never be fully satisfied. It's a modern Faust retelling. It also reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen the old British movie Bedazzled. I remember seeing that as a kid, and I feel like this is a very similar energy to that. Although, obviously, with this one, it's going to lead to that woman and the demon ending up falling in love. I think it looks really cute and fun. I have not read anything by Alexandria Bellefleur. I do own, I think, another one of her books that I actually recently thrifted, but I know she's written a ton of lesbian romances that I think are pretty well liked, so I'm excited to check this new one out. I'm pretty sure this was a release from either late 2025 or early 2026, so it's relatively new. And yeah, I'm really happy I picked this up. So we got one book that was kind of already on my list that I've previously read, and then a new one that I've added to my TBR. While we were out, we also just like walked around Manayunk, and we also went to the record CD store that is on the main strip there as well. We did not go to Thriller-delphia, which is the like thriller and horror bookstore that's also on that main strip. I think it might be owned by the same people that run Cupid's Bookshop, but there's actually a line out the door for both locations when we first were going around, and we decided to wait to go to Cupid's Bookshop because my friend wanted to do one of the author signings there. And at least for me and my friends, we're much more interested in romance books over thriller and horror books. My wife also did come with us, and she was kind of, you know, take it or leave it on any of the bookstores that we went to, but she did pick up a lot of things when we went to the CD and record store. And overall, it was really fun. I have not been to Manayunk in so long, At the very least, like not since I was back in like high school and was going there with like my parents. But we had a lot of fun. It's a super nice area and there's a lot of really fun looking shops. So I can definitely see us going back there in the summertime. So one of the main things I really wanted to do in this video is do a little book unhaul. I am at like, once again, absolutely max capacity of the books I can hold. Honestly, I'm probably over the max capacity of books I can hold because I have just like a giant tower of books on top of my bookshelf, next to my bookshelves, and I definitely need to get it down. So I have a pile of books that I'm definitely going to be putting in little free libraries, if not today, then like sometime very soon. And then I also have a pile of books that are kind of like maybes, but probably more so there are books that I think I can probably sell on Pango instead of putting them in little free libraries. I try not to put a book on Pango unless I think I can get at least like $5 to $10 for it. And I think a lot of these I probably can get in that range. So let me go ahead and show you everything I have. I have a pile in a giant bag over here that's all of the like definite going in little free library books. So we can just like kind of rapid fire them pretty quick. First book is a little bit of a surprise. We have Terciel and Eleanor by Garth Nix. I really love the Porson series. And I do plan on reading Clariel and Golden Hands, which are two of the other books in this series. However, this prequel, first of all, it's a hardcover, so it won't match any other books I own in this series. But I also just like don't really care about Sabriel's dad as like a character and like his arc with Sabriel's mom. This is just a book I kind of picked up on a whim. So I think I want to get rid of this one. We have this giant hardcover copy of Gone Girl. I bought this because I thought my wife would like it, but I feel like I can definitely thrift a paperback version of this instead of having this like really tall, giant hardcover. Next up, we have Fallen. I found this at a library sale, and I just don't think I'm actually going to read it. It more just was funny when I found it, then I decided to add it to the pile. Going along with that, we have Vampire Academy. This is the like movie tie-in cover, which I also think is really funny, but I'm just never probably going to read this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this along. This is a book I actually found in a little free library, but of all of Ali Hazelwood's books, this is probably one of the ones I'm least interested in. I'd much rather read one of her like STEM-focused romance novels or her paranormal ones over this sports romance. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pass this along. And then we have the book Greenwood. This one was actually a gift from a friend, but it's very much outside of my normal comfort zone, and I don't ever feel like drawn to this book or interested in reading it. So sorry, I'm just gonna go ahead and donate this one. And lastly, for the books I haven't read, we have Nine Fox Gambit. This book, I think when I picked it up from a library sale, I was getting it confused with a different sci-fi book, so I just don't think I'm actually interested in the topic of this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along to someone else. Okay, the next stack of books I have here are actually ones I've already read, and my criteria for like keeping a book on my shelves is, did I give it at least like 3.5 stars? Is it a book that I can see myself rereading, even if it's only like rereading a section again in the future? Or is it a book I think my wife would want to read? This is a book, at least for the second two questions, where I feel like the answer is no. The first one we have is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. This book I even did go through and tab because there were some things in terms of like the writing style that I really enjoyed. However, overall narrative-wise, and more importantly like thematic-wise, I just don't feel like this book had a very strong impact on me. I gave it 3.5 stars when I read it. And yeah, I just don't see myself rereading it again, and I don't think it's the type of story my wife would want to read. So I'm probably gonna like take out all of the tabs and put this in a little free library. The next one kind of hurts, and that is You Should Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian. I just read this back in January or February of this year, and I did tab a couple of things, but I already took them out. I just don't see myself rereading this book, and even though I gave it 4 stars when I read it, I think that was overall for my feelings of Cat Sebastian's writing style and the themes of this book. However, I just don't really care about the two main characters and the relationship enough that I feel like I would reread it. It's also not one of Cat Sebastian's books that I would try and like promote to my wife to read. There's other ones that I think she would enjoy a lot more that I am definitely keeping in my collection, so I think this is one of the ones I'm going to pass on. Next, I have a book that I literally finished maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that is Apparently Sir Cameron Needs to Die by Greer Stothers. This book I had very high hopes for. I even went and bought it new with like the first edition sprayed edges on it from Barnes & Noble. However, I did not really like this book. I gave it 3 stars. There were some things I really liked with the world building, and I thought they were really inventive and fun. However, I just did not really like the writing style. I feel like I found between reading this book, Ladies' Night, and Assistant to the Villain, I am just not a fan of the like tongue-in-cheek medieval comedy books that have come out. I feel like a lot of books that are intended to be comedy, me continuing to put like comedy in air quotes, they just aren't actually very funny, at least like not to my own type of humor. I like books that are a lot more dry and don't really like draw a lot of attention to the humor, and these books definitely are not like that. I do think this one was probably like better written than Assistant to the Villain, and if you like Assistant to the Villain, you probably will like this. But yeah, I just feel like the unique world building elements are not enough to get me to want to read the second one in the series or keep this book on my shelves. So unfortunately, this one was a bit of a flop. So yeah, I'm probably going to put this one either up on Pango or put in a little free library. And lastly, for the books I'm unhauling, I'm actually going to get rid of The Duke's Sister and I by Emma Claire Sunday. This is a lesbian historical romance. Queer historical romances overall are usually my like bread and butter. However, I wasn't a huge fan of this one. I think I gave it 3.5 stars when I read it. And yeah, it's just another book that I don't think I would reread. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending or with the like main characters and their romance. Between this and You Should Be So Lucky, obviously it's very painful for me to remove a queer historical romance because those are usually my favorite types of books, but I've become a lot more discerning, and I do have plenty of books in that subgenre that I'm keeping that are like all-time faves that are going to stay on my shelves, but this is just one of the ones I think I can pass on. It is also a signed edition, so I think for those reasons I probably will try and sell this one on Pango. And yeah, that's a look at the books I'm going to be unhauling. Probably when we go out a little bit later today, I'll take some of those books to little free libraries. And the other ones I'll probably put up on my Pango in the next couple weeks. Okay, sorry for like the crazy angle. I'm on the floor because this is where the bag of all the books I'm going to take out to the little free libraries is. I found some more things I think I'm going to unhaul that I thought I would show you real quick. We have House of Glass by Sarah Buchanan. I just read this for a reading books outside my comfort zone reading vlog, and I gave this 3 stars. I don't think I'm going to reread it. I don't think my wife would like it, and it is like this larger book of the month, tall hardcover, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. I also made the executive decision yesterday that I am going to unhaul the 3 books I have in the Hollow Star saga. We have A Dark and Hollow Star, A Cruel and Fated Light, and A Grim and Sunken Vow. This is a YA kind of like fae-based fantasy series. I read these back in 2021 when I saw the cover of the first one. I just like loved the design of it and the illustration style. I feel like at the time finding a YA fantasy series with like an entirely queer like main cast was somewhat of a novelty and something I wasn't very used to, even though that is like probably my ideal like setup for a book. But I feel like since then I've kind of expanded and realized that this isn't as niche as I once thought it was. And I've also just kind of expanded and moved past a lot of YA books. I did read the first 2 books and I gave them 4 and then 4.5 stars, but I don't think I would give them that high of a rating now. I never read the 3rd one and I guess kind of kept putting it off, putting it on like different yearly or like monthly TBRs, and I just like never found the right moment to read it. And I feel like now I was like reading through the synopsis again and realizing that I just like don't really care anymore. I like just don't think the overarching plot is particularly well written. I like some of the characters, particularly some of these side characters that have grown in, I guess, like relevance to the overarching story as time has gone on, but I just don't feel like I am compelled to finish the series, so I'm gonna unhaul the 3 books that I have in it. I might put the first one in a little free library and then maybe sell the other 2, especially because the second one I actually got signed as part of like the pre-order campaign for it, so I feel like that might be a little bit more desirable if I list it on Pango versus the other ones. But yeah, those are just some books I'm going to add to my little unhaul collection. Like I said, I have the bag full of books over here, and I think later today is when me and my wife are going to go out for a little like Pokemon Go walk, and I'll probably also put some books in little free libraries. Okay, another thing I really wanted to do for this video is set my kind of like more immediate TBR for the next couple weeks. I'm filming this in the middle of June, so this isn't really like a June TBR or even like a July TBR. It's just like when I get to them, I get to them. I'm currently in the middle of planning out 2 different reading vlogs, so the list is kind of divided between those 2 things. The first is I think I'm going to commit to doing another Dr. Stone reading vlog, probably reading honestly like until the end of the series. I have volumes 18 and 19 here, and I believe there's like 26 of like the main story volumes, and then there's like a bonus volume 27. So I think I can definitely get through all of these. In terms of how I'm reading the volumes, it's a combination of getting the physical ones from my library system, and I also just reactivated my Shonen Jump subscription, so I can also read the volumes that way if they are taking a little bit while to be sent to my local library for pickup. But I still have these ones as well as volume 20 physically, so I'm going to focus on reading these right now. The other reading vlog I'm doing is a read it or unhaul it style video. And my overarching plan with that is I really want to lower my physical TBR as much as possible. I don't think I mentioned this in a video, but me and my wife have been like trying, emphasis on trying, to buy a house for the last like year or so. I'm really hoping that this summer will be the time when we find a house. It seems like the market is slowly shifting in the area that we want to be in our favor, so I am more hopeful than I was last summer. So with that in mind, I'm trying to like get down as much of the books off my physical TBR so I can unhaul the ones I don't want ahead of time, and that way I'm only lugging over the books that I either already have read and loved or that I think I still want to read. So with that in mind, I did pick out some books that I want to add for that reading vlog's TBR. I mentioned in the intro that the only one I had set was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is kind of like a literary fiction, historical fiction, I think set in the late 80s, about a group of siblings that are the children of a famous singer. Kind of part of Taylor Jenkins Reid's like extended fake famous people universe. And then I think because I just read House of Glass, I'm kind of in more of a thriller mood. So I picked out the only other two thrillers I have in my physical TBR collection, which are In My Dreams, A Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is like a dark academia thriller about a group of friends from college where one of their friends, I think, died while they were in college. And now at their college reunion, the main character thinks that one of the other members of the friend group is the person responsible for their other friend's death. The other one I have is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This is a YA thriller, I think about a girl that has amnesia, and I'm pretty sure it's also like set in either like Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, so kind of like the perfect thriller to read during like the summertime. Both of these books are also ones I picked up from like random library sales, which is why I have them. This one is very short, so I honestly think I definitely can get to this one for the next reading vlog. And after that, I'm not really sure what I'm going to choose. I kind of am also in a little bit of a nonfiction mood, so I might look through some of the nonfiction books I have in my collection. But yeah, that's kind of the overall TBR I have set for right now. Okay, so as you saw, I was working on sewing my Delphonics pouch, and I now have finished it, and I think it looks so good. In full transparency, I actually had to almost start from scratch and remake this because I realized I had cut out the pattern piece for the bottom like strip to be too short the first time, and it was just looking really funky. And then when I went back and rewatched the video, I realized I had made this too small. But in doing my second attempt, I think I was able to kind of like remediate any of the issues I had the first time around, and it looks really good now that it's all done. Last night, I actually started filling it up with all of my stationery stuff, so I thought I would give you a very quick tour of what I've done so far. As you can see on the front, I have a couple of my favorite pens. I really like these little pen pouches. They're so cute. And then I also have a couple mild liners stuck up here. So far, I haven't put anything in the back. And then by unzipping it, right now inside, I actually have my old pencil case in there that has like all of my mild liners, my scissors, my glue stick, just kind of sitting in there as like an additional holder. And then along the one side that has like the two larger pockets, I put a bunch of sticker sheets that I could like fit in vertically. And then along the back side, I'm not using a pouch. I just have all of the kind of like bigger sticker sheets that previously I didn't really have a good home for. They didn't fit in any of the other pouches that I had, but they can kind of like lay along the wall of the pouch now, which is really great that I can kind of have them in a more contained area. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. Now that I know kind of all of the steps and I realized like where possible errors can come up through my like 2 attempts. I honestly feel like I could probably make more of these. Not that I necessarily need more, but if any of my mutuals or friends are interested in having a pouch of your own, let me know because I definitely could make you guys one. So I'm really, really glad I was able to kind of like finish my DIY and show it off in the ending here of the video. I will also give a very, very quick reading update. Yesterday, I did start reading Malibu Rising. I haven't yet picked out a bookmark for it because I was listening to the audiobook and I literally only got like 1 chapter in, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Definitely a goal for me to read more of that in the next like week or 2. And I've also finished all of the volumes of Dr. Stone I showed in the last update. And I've moved on to volume 21. So you will see me talk about all of those volumes in the next like kind of collective reading vlog I do for that series. But with that all said and done, we are now at the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing if you aren't already. I hope you guys like watching these kind of like collective bookish videos. I find them really fun to make, and they're also one of my favorite type of like booktube videos to watch. So I'm going to probably continue to make more of them in the future if you guys enjoy it. But that is going to be it for me today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!